This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today are the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO, Zach Vassar, principal second violin and artistic administrator, Merwin Sue, and the TSO's marketing director, Felicia Canny. We also have the TSO's music director, Alain Trudel, joining us by phone. Welcome, Alain.
Hello.
Glad to have you along. So the theme of our program today is Symphonic Surprises. That comes from the title for this weekend's concert. It's happening Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock p.m. at the Valentine Theater. 3 different works by Haydn, of course, his Surprise Symphony. Also Stravinsky's Dumbarton Oaks concerto and I guess that's a symphony, right? Is it a symphony or a concerto?
Isn't that something we should be discussing at minute 13?
Okay. And the Symphony number 40 by Wolfgang Mozart. More information, by the way, at ToledoSymphony.com or 419-246-8000. All right, well, let's jump right into it. I want to talk about that Stravinsky first, and we sort of opened the window for that. I've heard it called the Dumbarton Oaks Concerto, but it's also sort of a symphony. Who wants to take the lead and tell us about this particular piece?
Well, I'll say a couple quick words and then defer to Alain. I'm definitely more in the concerto camp. To me, it feels like a lot more like, say, the Brandenburg Concerti than it does anything symphonic.
But it also quotes the Bach, so I feel like that's another reason it's trying to stylize itself after that.
Alain, let's hear from you.
Yeah.
Tell us about this piece, because I think it's not as popular as the other two, obviously.
No, of course.
So let's prep the audience a little bit. I've got some Stravinsky-themed music for you.
It's going to sound nothing like this.
Yeah.
Just so you know, audience.
This is my Rite of Stravinsky ripoff here. Okay. That's probably not good for what you're about to say. Go ahead.
No, that's good. in a psycho-ish kind of way.
In a psycho-ish kind of way, yes.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that this work is, of course, inspired by it's inspired by space, right? Because the Dumbarton Oaks is the estate that was built. It was in Washington, right in Georgetown, I think, and when they built this fabulous place, they had a place that looks, it's not the same as where you would have, like, for example, to go to Haydn while we're at Haydn, about the Esteradia, which was the summer residence of the prince there. But it's there's a little bit of that kind of sense of, a little bit of nobility and also a great affinity with the arts. And just having a place where you can have new works. So Stravinsky wrote this as a commission for the 30th anniversary of the couple. What was the name again?
Bliss.
Yeah, exactly. The couple anniversary, and they were great patrons of the arts, but they also have this space that looks like more of a chamber, sinfonietta, symphonia kind of. And Stravinsky was at the time being treated because he had some illness, and with his entire family, because everybody got sick in the 30s also, in Europe. While he was at the sanitarium, he was playing a lot of music by Bach. He was just getting, it's the beginning of his period, the neoclassic period, and he wanted to write music that was very much inspired by Bach at that time, because basically Stravinsky digested music. Like, he would play some music, listen to some music, and when it would come out in his own composition, it would look or sound like nothing like, of course, Bach or Haydn or Mozart, but it would be his own language. But you could feel the connection there. There's a certain classicism of the way of orchestrating and writing. Actually, in this piece, Zach was saying one of the Brandenburg Concerto, the third Brandenburg Concerto, is quoted in this a lot. And also the strings in this, they're all divided by 3, so 3 violins, 3 violas, and all of those also in the Bach is the same in the Brandenburg. So definitely, of course, a concerto grosso, I would say, which is a concerto for everybody. So there's a group that has, it's not just a concerto for one person, so it's a concerto for everybody. That's what they call concerto grosso. And that's really the big influence in that. And for me, I wanted to have two very, very well-known symphonies, like Mozart 40, Mi, Re, Mi, Re, Mi, Re, Si, Si, La, Sol, Si, La, Mi, Mi, Re, Do, Do, that's very well-known. And, of course, the Haydn Surprise Symphony.
Sorry, I just had to give it a little vote of applause
We
there.
couldn't contain ourselves.
We love it.
And the Surprise Symphony. So I can afford, as a music director and programming, to have this little surprise in the middle of the two, because the other two symphonies, first of all, are one of the most beloved symphonies of those. But I think people will be very surprised and quite entertained by this Stravinsky. And when I say entertained, I mean, for us, it's going to be a lot of hard work to play. But if you play it well, it doesn't seem difficult. It just flows by.
Well, it sounds like a really interesting program. Of course, the title "Surprise," Symphonic Surprises. At first glance, it alludes mostly to the Haydn Symphony. Everybody knows the Surprise Symphony, right? I mean, it's sort of one of those iconic musical jokes, as it were. But I want to dive into it a little bit deeper. Zach, you have something to say?
Well, I would just say, for those who might not know the Surprise Symphony, what was the surprise? I don't want to just let it out of the bag, but it is one of the reasons that this has endured for so long.
It originally didn't have the surprise.
Yeah.
Right?
Really?
It was added by Haydn for the first concert. And
I thought it was added in by Felicia
and
in our Schubert episode.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't.
Felicia
just a
gave
vacant air.
a great attempt at a rendition of the Surprise Symphony. I should dig that clip up. If we have time at the end of the program, I'll go dig it up. But that's from our Let's Talk About Schubert episode from our first season, I believe. Felicia trying to play the Surprise Symphony on the kazoo. And, hilarity ensued after that.
It was the greatest moment of our podcast.
She's skulking at the microphone right now. We'll turn it around, Felicia. Don't worry, we won't make you play the Surprise Symphony. But we know how that goes. I'm going to ask Alain just to give us a few bars, because you're in the singing mood today, Alain. I can tell.
Oh, am I? Okay, well.
Yeah.
Papa Haydn wrote a song. He liked you to sing along. Have you ever done that version?
No.
Not yet.
Great.
That's great.
Oh yeah, I've done this in kid shows a lot, and sometimes we send in the school a little the guide for the teachers and all that, and the kids all learn the song.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
but don't stop. Don't stop. Let's hear the rest.
Yeah, what's the rest of it?
No, it's okay.
But you left out the surprise part. Now, when you do that to little kids and you scream at them, surprise, do they cry?
Oh, no, they laugh.
Okay, good.
Aww.
Good.
I would, yeah.
I guess it depends on the age and how you do the surprise. Right?
Middle schoolers.
Yeah.
Might not
Well,
be as...
if you have that big, that big orchestra forte, the timpani shot, but with a smile, because it's kind of one of those surprises. It's not like, aha, it's more like, aha. That's fun. Well,
that sounded very French.
I know, I was just going to say that felt very bilingual. It was like, that was the French version of that.
Yeah. In Germany, they don't call it the Surprise Symphony. They call it the Symphony with the kettle drum or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, it's quite a sensation, because Haydn basically, he wanted to make such a good impression. It was the beginning of his concert series in London. And he didn't get out much for many, many years, because he was basically, I had one employer, and for many decades, basically wrote music for Vienna and for Estradia, and he would just go basically the court and the chalet,
yeah,
the summer house, and then finally, when he was older, he started getting, people would say, well, we want to know, in Paris and in London. So that's why you have a series of London symphonies and Paris symphonies. This is one of the London symphonies and one of the first ones. And he really wanted to create a great impression. And also his student just had a very big success just before that. There's nothing like, how do you say, good, healthy competition, right?
Right.
Students that people know more for the pianos than actually his name, because it's Pleyel, right?
Pleyel, yeah, Ignaz Pleyel.
Yeah, he did a fantastic premiere just a few weeks or a month or two before. So he said, I'm not going to be outdone by one of my students. I have to come up with something that nobody has ever heard, Well, now I think it's very fun and classical, but back then it was basically people thinking, let's do something people have never heard before.
It's amazing when you've been writing 93 other symphonies. you have to do something that you've never done before. It's
True.
That's a lot of symphonic surprises to live up to.
But Haydn was used to that sort of thing. He talked about he spent 30 years working for the Esterházys, right? And he talked about how it was sort of an insulated community for him, and he was forced to be original because he didn't have a lot of influences bleeding in from the outside. And it's funny how that then worked, because when his music made it outside the court, it was so popular, and, Haydn was hailed as a symphonic hero when he went to London, and he made a good amount of pocket change out of those concerts that he gave in London. Had no idea, I think, that he was as well known and loved as he was.
It's interesting. Haydn and Mozart, if we put the parallel between them, Mozart is exactly the contrary. All over Europe, all of his youth, and of course, not so organized, not so much of a diplomat to be able to work with in the leadership sense, like with a big group, manage an orchestra, and deliver on time the commissions and basically, but Mozart is basically a lyrical composer, opera composer, and Haydn a symphonic composer.
I have a quiz. Do we want to get to the quiz?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is a symphonic nickname quiz because we have the Surprise Symphony, we have the Dumbarton Oaks Concerto, we have the Symphony number 40, which, after we finish this quiz, I'm going to ask each of you for your own nickname for the Symphony number 40, if you can be thinking about that. I've got 8 different questions here in the Symphonic Nickname Quiz. So what it is I have 3 different clues about a particular symphony, which has a nickname. It may or may not have been given by the composer. And as we go through the clues, you tell me if you can name the symphony by its nickname and the composer. Okay?
Do we have to hum it?
Yeah.
No, we do
Do
not.
we play it on a kazoo?
That's extra credit. Let's bring in the quiz music.
Fate.
This symphony is not included. Okay. This symphony dates from the early 1950s. It uses music originally written for a documentary film. Any takers?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, each movement includes a literary inscription added by the composer to the score, including quotes from Percy Bysshe Shelley and John Donne.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So English composer.
This symphony is also very, very cold.
Is this the Vaughan Williams?
Which Vaughan
Symphony
Williams?
Antarctica?
That's right. Yay. The symphony, the Antarctic Symphony.
I'm rooting for Merwin.
It could have been any Canadian symphony, though.
Very cold, yes.
So if that's your opening question, how much harder are the rest of them going to be? I don't stand a chance.
No, they
That's why I'm
get
rooting for
very
Merwin.
simple. I've mixed them up here. This next one should be pretty easy. The composer wrote this symphony after a visit to his father. His wife accompanied him on the journey. It was written in just 4 days. You know this. It was done by Toledo
It's a
Symphony.
Mozart symphony, I would presume.
Which one?
Oh, I'm sure we performed most of them.
He was on a stopover between Salzburg, coming back to Vienna.
Would this be the Prague?
No. 4 letters.
Linz?
Linz.
Austrian time.
Oh.
The
Yeah.
Linz.
Yes.
I never
Symphony.
get these.
Felicia
High five,
got
Merwin.
one. Way to go. I guess these are harder than I thought they would be. Okay. This symphony contains a lullaby based on a theme from Mendelssohn's Songs Without Words. It is closely modeled after the composer's own personal life.
Wow.
It contains both a love scene and playful bickering between a husband and wife.
Oh, Strauss. Symphonia Domestica?
That's right. Way to go, Merwin. So far, Merwin's ahead. Felicia's just behind, but you
I
can
give
steal Felicia.
No, I give Merwin the nickname the genius.
That's not a
not a-
symphony.
That's not a nickname. That's just a fact, right?
Yeah, Janet Amid said that on this program.
Yeah. Okay. This symphony is named after a fictional city.
Metropolis.
You
Really?
got it.
Wow.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow, and I didn't even get to read my other clues.
What were they?
Okay.
You can go for it.
One of its movements, also the name of a fictional character, is very hard to pronounce.
Lex?
Inspired. And it was inspired by a legendary comic book character. Yes. Metropolis Symphony. You didn't name the composer.
Doherty, yeah.
Michael Doherty. Okay, next one. We're just breezing right through this. This nickname applies to a few different symphonies, but this particular one was composed by an American.
Okay.
You can't look at me. I'm Canadian.
They can't be too, they can't be too specific to begin with. Okay, second clue. It was written for
Organ. It's the Organ Symphony of Copeland.
No, it was written for the 50th anniversary of the Boston Symphony Orchestra in 1930.
Well, Zach, you should know this, right?
I'm still saying it's the Organ Symphony of Copeland.
Kind of narrows it down. Okay, a theme from the first movement is known as the Interlaken theme. It's performed at the conclusion of all concerts at the Interlaken Center for the Arts. Anybody got it?
No.
This is awful. We're gonna
we're gonna get so
we're
many.
gonna get
so much
roasted
hate
by
mail.
all of these people from Interlaken.
The Symphony Number 2 by an American
Howard
composer.
Hansen.
Howard Hansen. What's the name of the symphony?
The Romantic.
The Romantic Symphony. Merwin gets half a
got it.
point
I don't
for
think
that.
I got that.
Yeah, he got
I'll
it.
give you half a point.
At least you didn't say Marymount.
Yeah. Okay.
That's true.
Hansen
Howard,
jokes.
Howard Hansen once called the police on me.
On you?
Okay,
On
wait.
me.
Stop the quiz. Stop the quiz. Stop the quiz.
No. Do I have to tell this story?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We want to
What
hear how
happened?
Howard Hansen.
Well, it wasn't really the police. It was sort of like the stunt police. I was
Close
at,
enough. Close enough.
it was
Were you on a
showed up?
it was
Movie
like the
set?
security people. No, I was at Chautauqua in New York and Jamestown, and I was like 17 or 16 or 17 there for the summer, and we were out swimming, evidently. And when I say swimming, I actually mean skinny dipping. Back in the days when I was skinny. On the beach, and I guess Howard Hansen, it was part of a property that either belonged to him or was rented to him. I'm not sure, but however it was, we had the security people come down and kick us off the beach, and they were like, Mr. Hansen called it in. So
Wow.
Is that one of those conversations with the cops that's just eye to eye? You don't. It's all eye contact.
Something like that. No, I remember there was a dock coming off of the beach, and I was hiding under the dock, so I only heard the conversation. It didn't actually say anything to me, but we got out of there.
It's a wonder
quickly.
that you could still work in this industry.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the quiz.
Changing subjects now.
Now, this symphony was also written for the 50th anniversary of the Boston Symphony Orchestra.
They had multiple ones.
Whoa, that's like the
Yeah.
same clue.
Yeah, I mean, unless I misread Wikipedia, I don't know. It is a choral symphony.
Okay.
We've already talked about this composer. The text comes from the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Von Williams.
No, not Vaughan Williams. I'm thinking of...
I don't know.
Moses and Aaron?
No, that's an opera.
Oh.
I'm
We already
thinking
mentioned this
of
composer.
one of the three composers on the concert.
So, this is...
Mozart.
The text,
Stravinsky.
No, it's going to be Stravinsky.
Stravinsky.
Stravinsky. I don't know.
which symphony is it?
Symphony of Psalms. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you got it. Symphony of Psalms.
Yeah.
One for Len. All right.
I know the overture of the concert. It was in the mid-concert music, but that's all I know.
Okay, here's a good one. This symphony was inspired by a painting that the composer saw on a wall while he was drinking a beer.
Oh,
Yeah, see? This sounds
Is
interesting.
this the Four Rothkos or something?
No, but close. The subject of the painting was an ancient Greek theory first espoused by Hippocrates. And finally, the theory describes four fundamental personality
Oh, is it
types.
Nielsen?
Carl Nielsen. Which one?
Nielsen, The Temperaments?
the four temperaments.
The
Yeah.
four temperaments. Way to go. All right.
I prefer the nickname Indistinguishable.
That's a different symphony.
Well, it's
Okay.
also not that symphony.
Okay, so Merwin has 4.5 points. Zach has 1. Felicia has 1. Alain has 1.
Wow.
We
However,
should combine forces.
Yeah, we still can't. Overtake it.
Yes.
No, I kind of like the fact that we're somehow getting 7.5 points out of 7 questions. It feels very Canadian. It's like an exchange rate.
yeah.
It's an exchange.
Oh, no, I
Because we're
missed.
getting 7.5 points
Wait,
for
did we
7
add that
questions.
right?
Actually, no, you have 3.5, Merwin.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can totally. Okay, so
Let's
it's
do that. Let's combine
You guys-
forces.
Merwin versus everyone
3.5
else.
to
Who's going to
3.
win?
It should always be that way.
But,
No,
but
it
here's the
shouldn't.
thing. Here's your...
I feel like it's like the Zach Vassar and the Mossy Brick episode
And the
where I'm the
Mossy-
villain all over again and you guys are all on the same team.
The fiddler. Exactly. You were the fiddler, the evil fiddler. Okay, hey, this is a bonus question. 2 points. Anybody can steal.
Oh my gosh, we can do this, guys.
Okay.
Come on, Elaine.
Merwin versus anti-Merwin, right? Okay.
Fiddler against Riddler.
Yes,
And this is just a question. I'm not giving you any clues, okay? Well, no, I'll give you 3 clues, and you tell me which is correct. Who came up with the nickname of the Surprise Symphony for Haydn's Symphony? Was it Haydn's London publisher? Was it a newspaper critic after the first concert? Or was it a member of the orchestra?
Wait, can we huddle?
Which of
Yeah,
the
Merwin,
3?
look that way.
Yeah, Merwin.
Merwin and anti-Merwin.
I'm really enjoying Alain joining this huddle.
Take off your headphones. No, keep them on.
Okay. Who came up with the nickname?
Guys, I feel like it's a...
These are things we have to know before this concert. Who came up with that?
I would say
I'm going to go with
critic.
Salomon.
So, Solomon? I don't know.
You're both wrong.
Oh, no.
You're both wrong. It was a flutist in the orchestra named Andrew Ashe.
Oh.
What?
Oh, wow.
A flutist
Wait,
in the
did you say a
orchestra.
musician in the orchestra?
Yeah, I did. But I didn't want to get too specific. It was a flutist in the orchestra. Okay, well, I don't know. I sort of feel like I have to draw it as a tie because...
Sounds good.
Well, no, he
No,
still
no,
wins
no,
by
he
half
still
a point.
wins.
Okay,
Yeah.
Merwin
As
won.
much as it pains me
half
to
a
say it. Yay.
Well, that was a fun quiz, right?
For Merwin.
Yeah. We have a few minutes, as it often is for Merwin. We have a few minutes here. I mean, you know, my goal is to one day stump Merwin so he can't answer any of those questions, but it just hasn't happened.
That should be a podcast.
It's a quiz
not a
entirely
good
focused on the game of golf. That's what it
that's
is.
true.
Yeah.
We've
That
done
would work.
something like 60 plus episodes.
And Merwin has
So-
won 61 of them.
Yeah, exactly. But we have a little time left to talk about Mozart because we do have this Symphony number 40 on there. Did you guys think of your nicknames for the...
Got it.
Now, Elaine, I know you sang a little bit of this before, right? Let's get it back in people's ears. Give us that opening theme.
Do you have words for it?
Are you serious? Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
No, it's one of my favorite things about Alain Trudel is that he has solfege for everything. In rehearsal, you'll start solfeging. You talk about music, it's always solfege. And even now, as you're singing on the radio to Mozart 40, it's all solfege. So
That's
one
Are
of my
you doing the
favorite
Kerwin
things.
hand signals with it? I'd be really impressed.
Or like Kodai, like
Yes.
they used in the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Ba, 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 ba. I don't know what the solfege is for that. But
I don't either.
yeah. Anyway, back to Mozart. So let's talk about Symphony number 40. What can you tell us about this symphony, Alain, and how it fits into this concert?
For me, it's one of the symphonies that's closest to me, and it's interesting that it's very personal for me. I came very late to Mozart. I was as a youngster and as a teenager, I was very much, of course, drawn to Shostakovich, Tchaikovsky, Mahler, and the big emotions. Because when you're a teenager, you have a big emotion, and it took a lot of time and maturity to get towards Mozart, Haydn, the composer we're playing on that concert, and now, I mean, that this 40th symphony has something very special. Actually, the last three, 39, 40, 41, and that's why I programmed them a lot. Last year we did 40, 41, and we're doing 40 this year. What really, really is special about that is that at a time where people were writing out of commission, so you would only write a piece if somebody asks you to write a piece, somebody hires you to write a piece. Those three symphonies do not have any commissioner, nobody asked for them. They just, when Mozart was busy, he was really busy. He was writing, it's in the middle of that Magic Flute, and the Requiem was coming up, but within that summer, within the 2 months, he wrote perhaps three of the most important symphonies of the repertoire: 39, 40 that we're doing this time, and 41st, the Jupiter Symphony we did last year. And for me, I see them as the first symphonies that were written because a composer had to write. It's something that had to come out. And it's a precursor of Beethoven, because of the Romantic era almost. Not romantic in the language and the harmony, but romantic in the spirit that it's it's men about men, right? About expressing something that you need to express, something that you have to express, rather than just providing a service. And that's a big difference, and it really opened the door for me. That's like you asked for a nickname on those. For me, it's the first. Because the 39, yes, but the 39, 40, 41, like as a unit, they were all written at the same time within the 2 months. For me, they're the first. The first symphony written because for the composer, by the composer, but just for themselves, basically, and to share with the world, rather than being a service that's provided for an occasion, for a wedding, for a coronation. It was really, really because this has to come out and this has to be shared, and that's very important. That opened the door to me.
Well, I won't ask you to sing it for us, but we've got your nickname for the Symphony Number 40, the first.
Yeah.
Let's go around, do a round table, and see if anybody else.
I feel like that's a horrible. We have to follow that. I mean, that this extraordinarily well-reasoned nickname, and
yes, ours will be.
Mine is not.
You don't
anywhere near that.
You don't have to justify it. And if it's really awful, we'll just cut it out or we'll bleep it. Okay. What's your, Merwin, what's yours?
We'll just have another quiz.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is only something that this is a very temporary nickname because it's, for a temporary occasion. But seeing that it's a 40th symphony and one of our panelists just recently turned 40, we'll call it the Zach Vassar Symphony temporarily.
Wow.
Oh, you're going to make me blush.
Sinfonia Bassare or something like
exactly.
that.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yes.
I could get used to that.
Okay. Felicia, you got one?
Doesn't Zach have a story about the symphony, though?
Are you ducking the challenge?
Nice try.
No. I think he has a story.
Yes. I'm sure he has more than one story.
I do. I have two stories. So I'll take Felicia's turn and my turn. When I was a kid, I remember that this is the first time I ever understood or heard the concept of penultimate. So penultimate symphony is how it was referred to. And I thought that this was called Mozart's penultimate symphony. And I asked my dad or mom, why did he call it the penultimate symphony? And then that's when I explained that it was his second to last, and that's not the nickname of the symphony. So that's my answer for Felicia. My answer for me, when I was in college, we would call this the Superman Symphony, which was not to be confused with the Metropolis Symphony we spoke of earlier, because we had a favorite music professor named Jeremiah McGran who would always test us with a needle drop test during our quizzes. And he said,
our younger listeners, a needle drop test is when you are playing a phonograph.
Yes. Now you have to explain what a phonograph is.
Well, there used to be these vinyl. Never mind. So he would say it's really easy to recognize this because if you ever hear me start the needle drop and it sounds like you could sing along, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a Mozart, then it's a Mozart 40, and we would always call it the Superman Symphony when we were rehearsing or studying.
But why would you drop the needle at the beginning?
Well, I think he was trying to help us understand where he would drop the needle.
Good point.
And that theme comes throughout the movie.
If I did that,
yeah.
I would.
Yeah. It seems like an overly complicated way just to remember.
But I mean, it's so goofy. I can't hear the piece without thinking about it. And I had a friend named Kate McGinnis, and we would always hear the Mozart 40 and think, oh my gosh, it's still the Superman Symphony to us.
You're going to think that in the audience.
I absolutely will.
Well, I definitely could not come up with a nickname.
Neither could I.
That is, that's right, Felicia, I forgot.
No.
That
was the penultimate.
Yeah, she was the penultimate.
Oh, yes,
she also
yes.
was
She's
the penultimate
panelist.
Yeah. I'm going to call it the Kazoo Symphony. Didn't we do that before we tried to play that with the kazoo?
I'm pretty sure Zach or Merwin did that.
Yeah,
sure that was on there
somebody
too.
did that, I think.
Or a second violin part or something like that, right?
I
It
do
all
remember
sounded
that.
like one note.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and listen to that episode.
I know, my answer was pretty lame. That's okay.
Can I
What was
ask
your
one? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, what was yours?
No, I gave it the
It was the
kazoo.
kazoo.
Oh, the
Oh,
kazoo.
yeah,
Symphony.
that
Yeah,
was-
that was lame.
Let's call it the. Let me clarify it. Let's call it the Great Kazoo. Okay.
Yes, the
Is
great.
that like a larger kazoo? Is that like a bass kazoo?
Yeah, it's a
The heckle
nickname.
kazoo.
Heckle kazoo. I like that better than the theremin we had when Julian Schwartz was here.
So these are late symphonies of both Haydn and Mozart. So I'd love to give Alain the last word here. What do these symphonies express for these two composers that you would say shows their maturity or shows that they've discovered something different? What do they do here, Alain, that they don't do earlier in their symphonic repertoire?
Well, for me, it's for Mozart, it's basically complete control of the elements to pass his message. And also, to explain what I've just said, is basically the writing techniques, the way of expressing. The tension, the release in music. That it's masterful. It's rarely has been matched. And also, you have to imagine that it didn't have the combination of instruments that we have. They basically have just a classical orchestra. Don't even have clarinets in it. I mean, it's basically just a few winds, some strings, not a lot of percussion, just some. And the Haydn, there's timpani, but that's about it. And it's really amazing what you can do. As we talk often about Beethoven, you give him a match and some duct tape, and he builds you a cathedral. But
Wow,
the MacGyver Symphony.
Yeah, I know. Or he fixes.
Sorry, wrong one. Here, let me give you. The soundboard has gone crazy. Okay, go ahead.
No. It's just at a certain point, that there's a lot of people who want to have something very deep to say, but maybe don't have the means to say it, or that have a lot of means, that have a lot of technique, but don't have the depth to match that. But there you are at a moment of complete. You talk about maturity. I mean, even though he was very, very young, because he passed away very young, but still, this is one of those rare instances where they're both at equal level. So that when you're sitting in the audience, it just seems natural, completely natural, unforced. The message is not. You don't have to figure out anything. It's all there for you. So that's amazing. And Haydn, well, it's one of his last symphony. He only had 10 to go. No, but Haydn in some ways is very, very youthful. They always, and I think it also has to do with the personality of the composers. For me, Haydn finally he gets to get out of the house, and he's like, oh wow, this is fantastic. It's like another life, a second, third, fourth win in his career. But no, I would say second win in his career. I mean, and basically he just. Again, complete control of how he can deliver the message he wants to deliver, but he doesn't have, it's not somebody who needs to tell you so much how he's feeling personally, but just to show you some, the beauty of music. So there's a little bit of not programmatic music, but how it's about you or it's about it. So it's like Haydn's more about the music of the sound. Mozart is more about the human and more about the person behind it. That's why I said I call it the first, because the first one is that kind of precursor of the big romantic era.
Yeah.
So and I think those two are a really nice combination, and the Stravinsky in the middle, which will act as the concerto, right, for us, because it's a concerto also. But I really wanted to make sure I featured a lot of our wonderful players in the orchestra, because, let's not forget, we have a really, really top orchestra here in Toledo. And the more I can do to have pieces where a lot of them are featured, the more I'm going to try to do that.
Cool side story on Dumbarton Oaks. It's a strange name, Dumbarton Oaks. So the estate, right, used to be the Dumbarton estate and the Oaks estates. They put it together. The Blisses made this kind of portmanteau name for their estate, but they hired the same architecture firm from New York to build this amazing manor house and music room, who had created the Boston Symphony Hall.
Oh, that music room, it's so beautiful.
Have you been there?
No, I just seen pictures of it.
It is extraordinary. It's worth
amazing.
Looking up a picture for. But so you think that the architects of the first acoustically perfect building on the planet, basically, Symphony Hall in Boston, made this music room, and they were so committed to music. So we are the Friends of Music. That's where we started our name. The Friends of Music was also an organization run by the Library of Congress, and Mrs. Bliss wanted to make a Friends of Music for Dumbarton Oaks, and that's what commissioned Stravinsky to write this piece on the event of their 30th anniversary, as Alain mentioned, and Aaron Copland was commissioned on the event of their 50th anniversary to write the Nonette for strings. And then
we never play that piece.
It's a great piece.
It's a good piece.
Right?
We never
Next
play
year.
it.
And then just recently, they engaged Joan Tower. Just recently, it's probably 10 years ago now, to write a piece for Dumbarton Oaks to just continue this lineage of great music written for that estate. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, cool.
Wow.
I used to think, when I first heard it played on the radio, he pronounced it weird. And I thought that he was saying that Dumbarton Oaks, like it was Barton Oaks.
That old Dumbarton Oaks.
Dumbarton Oaks.
It wasn't until I saw it in print that I realized that it was all one word.
What did Dumbarton ever do to you?
Dumbarton. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up if we can. I want to mention the program is happening this Saturday afternoon, part of the Mozart in the Afternoon series. It's at 2 o'clock at the Valentine Theater. The title of the program is Symphonic Surprises. We'll hear the Surprise Symphony of Joseph Haydn, the Dumbarton Oaks Concerto by Igor Stravinsky, and Mozart's Symphony No. 40. More information at ToledoSymphony.com or 419-246-8000. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony, with generous support from the Rita Barber Kern Foundation. You can download episodes of our program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab, and you can subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including both Apple and Google Podcasts. Don't forget you can check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony by visiting their website, ToledoSymphony.com, and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My thanks to Zach Vassar, Merwin Sue, Felicia Canning, and of course, Elaine Trudell, who joined us by phone today. I'm Brad Cresswell. This has been Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.